ておらぬのかい？
よろしいのですか？
優しくしていただけますか？姫様、見ないでください。
All right, my friends, we are getting ever closer to the end of daily life. We have just one episode left after today. And when it comes to episode 12, I really enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I love how Kenichi is no punk. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, he has procreated in a way with Primula, with Meowly, with the barkeep girl Azalea, with Nyamina. And now this episode, as a gift for doing all the things that he did, which was like exterminate, I think like with spiders or something, and then also go full Ghostbuster on some spirits within the castle. He was given a special gift by Lilith, which was the princess, which was her maid, because early on he was like fantasizing about the maid because, you know, she is curvaceous and basically the type that he imagines, she basically fit the bill. And somehow Lilith caught on to that, and she was like, hey, she's your type, isn't she? And he was like, well, you know, I can't lie. Like, yeah, she is, but you know, I got a wife. And she was like, you know, don't you have any special stuff in your store that would, you know, please her, you know? And he's like, hell yeah, I do. So he puts her in a Skippy outfit. He gets it on. And I love how the maid was like, you know, yelling at Lilith, like, don't watch, you know? So it is not said specifically. We don't know exactly what happened. It could have just been that he was cosplayed or whatever. But the other part of it is he could have gone full on as the Princess Watch, which would be super effing crazy. I definitely love that, you know, quite a bit. And it's just one of those things to where it's, you know, these kinds of things aren't needed in anime. But the reality is when you are telling these stories and you have a character who's constantly being put in these promiscuous situations, you want to see that main character act like another human would act, right? Like if you or I were to be put in a fantasy world, I don't think that you would be allergic to the opposite sex, right? Like if you were put into a, you know, reverse harem situation, if you're a girl, I think you might be a little more reserved, but at the end of the day, you're going to live your life like you're in another world and probably have a good time in that situation. The inverse is true if you're a male and you're put in these situations where these kinds of things are allowed and you're very upfront about it, and these things continue to go your way, you'd probably take advantage of it. Of course, you make good decisions, but at the end of the day, you know, as long as you are not violating anything, any rules, anybody's feelings, you know, I think that you would do it. So when we have shows that are written like another human would react, whether that person is 15 or 55, it's just really appreciated. As opposed to where you have these shows where, you know, you have a 40-year-old in a 18-year-old's body or something, and a girl grazes his shoulder and he runs away or something, just very unrealistically. So it's just really, really appreciated when you have these kind of real life scenarios that take place. Now, on top of that, I love the princess. I knew I was going to like her already. She is super, 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 super eccentric. And one of the things that we found out is that her mother, the queen, isn't her biological mother. Originally, the king had a concubine, and she was a concubine's daughter, adopted by the queen, which, again, this does happen in these types of fantastical settings and stuff. And her concubine mother passed away, so she got taken over by the queen. But, you know, she has a good relationship with the queen. The queen isn't, you know, doesn't hate her, doesn't dislike her. She probably actually is a very motherly and affectionate towards her. They're very similar in nature. So I like that she has a good relationship with her mother. And I like that her mother was also like very interested in a lot of stuff that Kenichi was doing, but she's kind of living vicariously, like curiously vicariously through Lilith, because she's the queen, so she has certain standards, and she's older, so she has to act a certain way, of course. But I love that about it, and apparently Kenichi's gonna be here for about a month as well too. As they're waiting for their audience with the king, they got here very quickly as opposed to the time this should have taken them. So I thought that was really cool. And then obviously just the relationship that has sparked now between Kenichi and Lilith. And when I say relationship, I don't mean like a romantic relationship, just like this really cool friendship relationship that has instantly sparked. She's super curious about Kenichi. Kenichi kind of views her, obviously like kind of like Anemone a little bit, maybe a little older, obviously, but like she kind of views her like that. And he is enjoying his time for sure. Although he is hesitant in certain areas because, she is a royal princess. So he can't completely treat her like he would Meowly or Anemone because she has royal status. But you can tell he's having a good time. And I really like that quite a bit too. So overall, this episode was just a vibe. I love the little things that it did. And it just continues to show that this show is just one of the best of the season, especially when it comes into these more budget titles. This one definitely stands above the rest this winter season. And as we transition to spring season, it's nice to have one that's going to stick with us a little more. That's probably going to have a decently satisfying ending, because through these more budget shows we've gotten this season, we just haven't gotten those. We've gotten just shit endings, and a lot of them are shit endings because they just are, and a lot of them are shit endings because we're gonna get a season 2, so they're just dangling a carrot. But it's like, I don't even want the effing carrot, So I'm glad that we have a show like this, and hopefully this one gets a season 2 as well. But I'm pretty confident that we'll get a satisfying ending regardless, with a door that's creaked open for us to walk through whenever that season comes. So yeah, enjoying the show, love it. So can't wait to see more, and I'll see you guys next week for the last episode in episode 13. Peace out, my friends.